What's up, y'all? It's your boy, eBay Fight Predictions in the building. And we are breaking down Alexander Volkanovski versus Islam Makhachev for the 155 belt, champ versus champ. The decider of who will be the best of the best, number 2 and number 1, going at it pound for pound. This is a phenomenal fight. This is a legitimate super fight. I love this fight. The new champion, Islam Makhachev, going up against the long-standing champ at 145. I like to call him the baby goat, Alexander Volkanovski. I love this fight. There's no real story behind it. It's best versus best, and that's what makes this fight awesome to me. Is it's best versus best. Who is the better guy? When this era is over, we will know who was the best guy around at 155. You know, it's the same thing with Alexander Volkanovski versus Max Holloway. That's one of the things I said. This is best versus best. Yes, there was some trash talk from Mr. Ninth Island, but besides that, this fight in itself is the same thing. Who is the best of the best? These guys have separated themselves from the rest of the pack. And they're here to fight it out. And that's what I love about this company. That's what I love about MMA in general. We do those kind of fights. But yeah, this is an insane fight. And I can't wait for it. Both guys only have one loss. It was via TKO back in the day. And I'll just talk about that. Volkanovski at welterweight got caught with beautiful head kicks and just kind of got attacked in his earlier career. And that was one of his losses. And Islam Makhachev, we all know it, man. Got caught by that Adriano Martin fucking counter right. And he got caught. But besides that, those fights are long ago. Obviously, they do play a fact because Islam has a beautiful head kick, right? He throws it a lot, and fucking Alexander Volkanovski throws with legitimate bad intentions when he throws that slip counter right. Man, he hits people with it, but it's a phenomenal fight. But besides that, let's get to the stats, man. Obviously, they're both champions. Obviously, Islam Makhachev is defending his belt at 155. He comes with a record of 23-1. Is fighting out of Russia, age 31 years old. A height of 5'10" and a reach of 70. Alexander Volkanovski at age of 25. I said at age of 25. A record of 25-1. Phenomenal record. Is fighting out of Australia, age 34, a height of 5'6", and a reach of 71, and he's 34 years old. So that's one thing to look at. When we're looking at this matchup, yeah, Volk is right near the end of his prime, but man, he has looked better than ever, and I really do think he is really trying to etch his name in history, and he's trying to get as much as fights possible. He's trying to stay active, and he's really gone on this insane momentum streak, and he's really challenging Islam Makhachev because he's done with 145. Those guys, you know, those guys haven't stepped up really, and I agree with him. I mean, they haven't, and he's going up against Islam to really test himself and see how well he can compete. But in terms of physical advantages, Islam, what's it called? Volkanovski does have the reach advantage, but Islam's going to be the taller guy. He's also going to be the bigger guy. As much as I like Volkanovski's strength and his size sometimes, like he's such a compact fighter. He's like, you know, short, stocky, but it's kind of perfect for him with the way he fights. The problem is Islam is just really big, and he really is legitimately could be a welterweight, and I think he will move up to welterweight one day. I really do. I think we'll see him at 170, and I'd love to see that fight. But him and Leon, or you know, him and Colby, or Chimaev, or whoever gets that belt eventually. But yeah, I'd like to see those kind of fights. But and that's what makes this fight really awesome, and that's what I love about this fight. And yeah, obviously I did a 4-fight film study on this one. I love this fight, and I wish it would get more promotion. You know, I feel like this is kind of like falling under the radar. Some people don't even know this is coming up, but yeah, this is going to be a phenomenal fight. But yeah, besides that, let's talk about how these guys match up with each other, and the fights that I looked at. So let's talk about Islam Makhachev, right? So I looked at 4 fights. I looked at guys that he fought that are very similar to him, right? And what's it called? Let me look. And guys that were stocky, good wrestlers, right? So I looked at 3 fights in particular. Well, I looked at 4 fights, and then obviously the Charles Oliveira fight, right? His most recent fight. But the 4 fights I looked at the Nick Lentz fight, the Sarukian fight, and then the Chris Wade fight. Yeah. So let's talk about the Nick Lentz fight. He kind of dominated here. He he kept catching Nicholas with the same trip over and over and over again, and he kept catching him with that. And that's the thing about these guys, these Dagestani fighters. These, I like to call them cliff dwellers, you know. They are so good with these trips, and it seems like some of these American wrestlers haven't caught on to some of the trips they're using. They catch a lot of guys, and Nick Lentz is a phenomenal grappler. We saw it near the end. He gave Mozar Evloev a fucking tough time, and he's given guys a lot of tough times. Right? He gave even Arnold Allen a tough time when they fought. He's a good fighter. Obviously, he is a featherweight in my humble opinion, which I do implore people to look at this matchup. When you see the size advantage, it doesn't necessarily mean he's going to go out there and completely ragdoll him. Sometimes the smaller guy can be the better guy. You never know. They can be faster. They can be a little quicker. They can be harder to grab onto because they're scrambling a lot better. You know, it's a different speed. It's a different kind of fighter you're used to dealing with, right? So he kind of dominated against Nick Lentz. He could have done better. Obviously, this is one of the fights people will criticize Islam Makhachev for not looking as good as he should have. But you know, hey, it is what it is. And then he fought Chris Wade. So Chris Wade, man, like, and I say this a lot, man. If fucking Chris Wade could have a competitive fight with Islam Makhachev, why can't Volkanovski have it? Because there's been this narrative: Volk is too small. Chris Wade's a featherweight. Go watch this fight. Now, Islam, he won this fight, but it was a tough motherfucking fight, right? And these guys were going back and forth, right? Islam goes for the single leg. He kind of controls him a little bit, right? And he's maintaining position. And I love how Islam wrestles, real talk. Like, his wrestling ability, you can compare it to an Olympic level wrestler, the way he wrestles. And he's had situations with high level wrestlers, right, where he's trained with them, he's looked good, and he's taken guys down, right? He's looked really good on those mats and some of those training videos. But eventually Chris Wade was able to flip it around, was able to use the fence and get a reversal, right? He was able to stay on top. And I actually gave Chris Wade that first round. He was on top of Islam for most of that round, and he was battling with Islam Makhachev for control time. And in the second round especially, they were going for 3 minutes of control time each going into that second round. And yeah, they were very tied. Obviously, the second round happens. They're both just scrambling. Islam goes for the single. Then Chris Wade has the guillotine. He's able to flip him around, get on top. And it's just these moments where I'm like, Volkanovski, we've seen him have these. It's not about the takedown necessarily. It's about the scrambles. If you can scramble at a high level, you have a chance, right? And Wade was able to scramble, but Islam always responded with his own scramble and always got on top. That's the thing about Islam. Even though he's having some of these fights where he is scrambling back and forth, I will give him his credit. He does always find a way to get on top, right? Maintain control and end the round looking dominant. And these guys were going back and forth in the scrambles, man, looking amazing in there. And there were just moments where I'm like, wow, Chris Wade is good, man. I was like, Chris Wade's a motherfucker, man. You got to respect Chris Wade for this performance. And he looked amazing in there, man. He gave fucking Islam Makhachev a tough fight. But eventually, Chris Wade got tired, and Islam started to control and started to take over. And as the rounds kept going, he was the better wrestler out of the two. But it just shows that moments like that against Wade, it gives you hope as a Volkanovski fan that maybe Volk can do something here. Maybe he could beat the unbeatable, the mystical, the cliff-dwelling Islam Makhachev, you know, from the mountains of Dagestan. You know what I'm saying? It makes you think like he has a chance, and I really do believe that. You know, you guys know I'm a big Volk fan, so that's how I'm kind of looking at this. And then he fought Arman Tsarukyan, and you guys know how I feel about Arman. Arman's whatever, but both Arman Tsarukyan and Volkanovski came out of Tiger Muay Thai. Both came out of the tryouts. Both phenomenal fighters. And even Arman said it. And you guys know I could care less about what Arman says, but but he said he's gonna give Islam a tough time. And I truly believe that. Like, I know people are really big on the size thing, and I get it. Like, the size is something to look at. But in my humble opinion, both guys come out of the same place, and both guys are good wrestlers, and they're not the Bobby Greens or even Charles Oliveira who likes to play jiu-jitsu, and we'll talk about that kind of guys. These are guys that like to wrestle. These are guys that like to strike too. These are guys that like to scrum. These are guys that like to be on top, and that's what Arman Tsarukyan showed in this fight. He did not want to accept bottom position at all in this fight, and these guys were going back and forth with the wrestling, and Islam couldn't take him down at first. You know, Arman was able to stuff the first takedown, then Islam had a beautiful trip and he got him out, and then he had some moments where he was able to I ain't gonna lie, it kind of looked like a DDT from pro wrestling where he was able to kind of flip him around. I don't know what to call. I don't know what it's called in wrestling, but my wrestling knowledge has decreased a little bit. I got to get back into it, but he had good moments against him there. And then, Armin was able to take him down, especially in that second round. And they just kept scrambling. But eventually, Armin did get tired. And when Islam Makhachev stuffed one of Armin's takedowns, you could just tell it broke Armin a little bit. But this was a short notice fight for Armin Tsarukyan. And he gave Islam hell. And then eventually Islam started getting his own takedowns. And eventually he started to break Armin a little bit. And that's the tale of this whole entire fight. Of the Armin Tsarukyan and Islam Makhachev fight is that he does the same thing like he did in the Chris Wade fight. He finds a way to get on top and he finds a way to do his thing. And even like there were moments where Armin he get on bottom and just power up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I even forgot about that. He just power up and, work for a single leg. You know what I'm saying? And, man, like, I say this again over and over again. If Armin Tsarukyan can have moments like this, why can't fucking Volkanovski? I'll say that over and over again. Why can't Volk? That's what I challenge some of y'all. When I get it. When you watch that Charles Oliveira fight, it's a very, very indicative fight of, man, Islam Makhachev is fucking unbeatable, right? That's the feeling, right? But when you take a step back and you look at some of these other fights, is it Charles Oliveira that just was stylistically a bad matchup with Islam Makhachev? Or is it Islam Makhachev is just that good? I'm going with the latter. I think he was just a bad matchup for Islam. And let's talk about the Charles Oliveira fight. Now, I was wrong. I picked I picked Charles. And, hey, I ate some humble pie. Now, was I happy that Charles lost? A little bit. Yeah, I was. I was actually, I enjoyed that because I knew Benny was going to come for that dude's head, but I didn't know Islam Makhachev had no respect, and he decided to fight Volk. But, hey, it is what it is. I'm a big Volk fan, so we'll get it back in blood for that decision. You want to pick on the little guy? You're going to feel that pain. But in this Charles Oliveira fight, I have nothing but praise. There was a war between Oliveira fans and Islam Makhachev fans, and Islam Makhachev fans completely put Oliveira fans 10 feet under. And this was domination. There were no moments that Charles really had in this fight where he looked good. Islam was able to get him down really quick, was controlling him. There were moments where Charles did get back up eventually, but that's about it. And then Islam took him down and, had a really cool little, it was like head and arm throw, and he was doing his thing, and eventually fucking Islam Makhachev hurt him with the left hook and then submitted him like it was nothing. And it was just a spectacular performance. And then, obviously him and Volkanovski had that moment in the octagon where they kind of called each other out, and they were like, "Yup, let's fucking go. Let's go, motherfucker. Let's go." And now we're here. And Volkanovski going into this fight, the fights I looked at, right, for Volk, I looked at fights where he fought a lot of grapplers. And I'm sorry, y'all. My phone was kind of tripping. But yeah, so one of the biggest criticisms Islam Makhachev's fans, or his believers, or guys that are picking Islam, is they're saying that Volkanovski hasn't really fought a lot of wrestlers, and when he has fought wrestlers, he's been taken down before, and also he's just fought a lot of strikers, right? So that's true. That is true. That is a fair criticism. But I also will counter back and say, well, okay, he's fought higher level of competition in his last 5 compared to Islam, right? We could say that. We could go back and forth like that. Bobby Green and Thiago Moises have nothing on Brian Ortega and Max Holloway, respectfully, okay? That's just a fucking fact, right? So you could argue back, right? And yeah, they do have a point. Darren Elkins and Chad Mendes are probably the last few wrestlers he's fought, and then obviously you got Brian Ortega, who's a good grappler, and then obviously his most recent fight, Max Holloway. Those are the fights I looked at. So against Darren Elkins, he was able to defend the takedowns effectively. He did get taken down kinda, but it got turned into a guillotine by Darren Elkins. But besides that, he kind of dominated this fight. He hurt Darren Elkins a lot with his striking, and then eventually he even took Darren Elkins down, and then he just kind of did whatever he wanted in that fight. Complete domination. And this was a Darren Elkins that was on a good win streak going into this fight. Let's look at this fight. I think he was coming off I think this was his win against Masar Bektik, right? No, Michael. So he was going into this Volkanovski fight. He was on a 1-2. 3, 4, 5, 6. 6-fight win streak. He was coming off wins over Dennis Bermudez, Mashar Bektik, and then Michael Johnson, where he submitted Michael Johnson, which was crazy. And then he fought Volkanovski. In this fight where he fought Volkanovski, he's 34 years old in his prime. So that does put into perspective how young Darren was at the time. So I just wanted to say that. So yeah, it is what it is. And then against Chad Mendes. So this is the fight that everyone's talking about. This is the fight where, like, okay, you cannot pick Volkanovski. And here's what I disagree. Yeah, Chad Mendes took him down a lot. He did. There's no denying it. He took him down a lot. He hurt Volkanovski too, right? Let's put that in perspective. He hurt him bad, had him wobbled, and he hurt him. And we've seen Islam Makhachev. He has power in his hands. He can't hurt people. So maybe Islam could hurt Volkanovski. And even took Alexander Volkanovski's back at the end of that, or near the end of that second round. But where I disagree with people is that he got right back up. He got out of that. And then he overcame. And then he fucking broke Chad Mendes. All right? Yeah, you can say Chad Mendes was washed at this point. I disagree. Yeah, he was a little older, but Chad Mendes was coming off a 2-year layoff. Some people might say that's a bad thing. He was coming, in my opinion, a 2-year recovery from getting chinned by Frankie Edgar and also getting chinned by Conor, right? I felt like his chin was recovered. I felt like he took a break and he looked revived, like he looked like he was back, right? Go look at what he did to fucking, what's his face? What's that cat's name? Before the Volkanovski fight, Miles Jury completely destroyed Miles Jury, showed levels in that fight, right? He still, in my opinion, was a top 5 fighter, and for him to go out there and give Volkanovski problems like that, it says something. And don't forget what he did with Jose Aldo, all right? That guy's a fucking, he's a stud, right? But what it tells me is that, yeah, Islam might get the takedowns. I'm not saying Islam won't take him down, but will Islam keep him down? Will Islam fucking submit him the first few seconds? No. And what will Islam do when fucking Volk gets back up? What will be the response? You know what I'm saying? Volk can scramble with the best of them, right? I know people are going to say the size. Fuck the size, all right? That's all I got to fucking say. But yeah, the Chad Mendes fight was a factor. Then he fights Brian Ortega. I felt like he was kind of outclassing Brian Ortega on the feet a little bit. And then Brian, he had that crazy moment where he got the guillotine, and fucking Volk showed his ability to overcome. And I've always said it. His ability to overcome, there's nothing like it, right? Like, he just has this will and this mentality that I will never quit. Like, I don't want to get at Charles Oliveira the wrong way, but Charles, I said it before, the quitter will come out. We've never really seen Volk really quit. And I don't think fucking Islam will be the first guy to make him do that, right? I don't. And, yeah, and then fucking Volkanovski got out of that guillotine. Then Brian Ortega goes for a triangle. Fucking Volkanovski gets out of that triangle. And then he punishes him with ground and pound. He really does punish him with ground and pound. And mutilates that dude's fucking face. And punishes him for every punk ass thing he said on that Ultimate Fighter show. And fucking destroyed him. Brian Ortega did get a takedown in that 4th round. But then Volkanovski, when he got on top, he pummeled him again, which is like fucking, he beat him up like Ortega owed him money. It was insane what he was doing to Ortega. And then eventually Ortega had his moment in the 5th round. You know, he kind of had that flurry. And then, yeah, it is what it is. And then, right, Mr. Ninth Island, Max Holloway, man, fucking Max Holloway. They have the trilogy, him and Volk go at it, and this was a complete destruction. I've never been more proud as a Volk fan. I fucking told those motherfuckers. I told all you motherfuckers, all the motherfuckers in my comment section that was doing all that talking, right? No, eBay, you won't go down. Max Holloway's the man. I was smoking that Max Holloway pack, baby. Man. And Volkanovski put on a shutout, man. The slips and the rips, the jabs. He was completely owning fucking Mr. Best Boxer in the UFC, destroying him on the feet. Made him look like a fucking fool. And it was just awesome to see. It got to the point where even fucking Max Holloway was shooting for takedowns in the 4th and 5th rounds, trying to do something, and he was owning Max. It was bad. He had Max bloodied up. He made Max eat every word that he said in that press conference, and he made him look like a fool, and he taught him respect. And going into this fight with Islam Makhachev after this performance against Max Holloway, when I take a step back, I'm like, how can I not go for it? How can I not pick Volkanovski in this fucking fight? How? How can I not do it? Yeah, he's the smaller guy. Yeah, we've seen him fight fucking wrestlers and get taken down a whole bunch. Yeah, this is Islam Makhachev's fight to win. But why not go with the smaller guy? Henry Cejudo fucking did it. Daniel Cormier fucking did it. I think Volkanovski will do it because he's that fucking great. I see the way he's fucking trained. I see the way he's fucking working. He's a better striker than fucking Islam by a lot. All right, the speed, the technical ability. We're not even just talking about power and finishing ability. I'm talking about how he moves his head, how he moves his feet. He's a better striker. The only thing I have to worry about is if fucking Islam's that good of a wrestler that everyone thinks he is. Because I don't think he is. Fucking listen to what I said. The only thing I gotta worry about is Islam being better as what people think he is. Because I don't think he is that guy. I don't think he's that guy. I've never thought he was that guy. Right? I liked him. I did. But I never thought he was that guy. And I think Alexander Volkanovski, the fucking great Volkanovski, will show people why he's great. Will show people why he's pound for pound #1. And will beat Islam Makhachev by 4th round TKO. That's what I'm fucking going with. Cliff Dweller fanboys, sit the fuck down. Because there's a king. The baby goat will show y'all why it's not okay to go against him. He will remind y'all that he's here to stay. And a guy like Islam Makhachev ain't making him go nowhere. Volkanovski fans, stand the fuck up. And Cliff Dweller fanboys, get ready to cry. I got the tissues ready for you. The tissues ready for you. Because the tears are coming down. I got Volkanovski. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. It's your boy eBay. I'm a little hyped. And I can't wait for this fight. Yeah, man. Go follow me on my Instagram. Follow me on Twitter. Islam Makhachev, you going down, baby. You going down. Alright? Inshallah, baby. Alhamdulillah, we pick Volkanovski. Alhamdulillah, we will beat your boy Islam Makhachev. Okay, we will smash him. But yeah, love y'all. Goodbye. Hey, you already know. Even Allah want Volkanovski to win. Alright, I'm gone.
When that fight got announced, overnight, like it was literally, it got announced and then something just changed. And I was just like, that's it, let's do it. The fact that I'm moving up, he's always going to be like, for me being reasonably small as well, short. And then they're looking at the stylistically, they're like, oh, but yeah, this guy is not only is moving up, where people are going to have a size advantage, now he's versing the best grappler wrestler in that division. Strength has never been an issue for me. I've always been undersized with everything I did. It's going to be a hard challenge, but I guarantee you I can do it. This is making me so much more of a better fighter than I originally was. And I was already, a lot of people like, how can he get better? And I was like thinking, yeah, I'll find a way. I found a way. I'm going in and every session I'm doing is a specific position for this fight. I don't want to waste not even a single minute on something I ain't going to do. Right now, every minute I'm spending in the gym is specific for Islam. Obviously, if we don't get taken down, yeah, beauty. But in my head, I need to prepare as if we're going down. I need people to put me in the worst possible position I can, and I fight from it. That's why you will see me always be composed, no matter where I am. So even if he gets me in a bad position, you'll probably see a smile on my face. You'll probably see me talking and be like, is this all you got? Watch me get up. Get up and then be like, hey, you're not as strong as you thought, all right? I'm not as small as you thought, all right? I'm going to be fighting for every millimeter. And I'll do that for 25 minutes. And you won't see me break at all. I'll keep going. I want to be there and I want to get straight back up, and then I just look at him, look at his corner and be like, what now? Put some of these in his face.